Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome inside the Guilty is Charged film room. Happy to be back doing some draft prospects. As those who have been following the show for a long time, and me, I'm a huge draft nerd. This year, getting a little bit of a late start because the Chargers were in contention, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, the season did end earlier than we wanted to, but I'm happy to be back doing some of my favorite stuff, which is breaking down draft prospect film and today have a treat for you guys as the first breakdown of the year, which is somebody that I am very particularly high on. And that's David Ojabo from the University of Michigan. He's an edge rusher, outside linebacker, however you want to classify it. He is just a flat out playmaker. So really excited about this one to share kind of my thoughts. I have 7 clips here from 2 different games against Wisconsin and Penn State. The access that we have to film is slowly trickling in, but I feel like 2 games of a player like Ojabo, you kind of just know. And he's somebody that I'm a big fan of. He's definitely the type of edge rusher that I prefer. Little bendy, not little. He's very bendy, very twitched up, got a lot of juice to him. And really, he has whole extra gear to him because of his development. He's incredibly raw. He's only started for 1 year. Somebody shared with me an interview he did during the season where he was confused why the opposing quarterback was like spiking the ball because he didn't know that that was a rule to stop the clock. And so this guy has just been playing football for such a small amount of time, and he was incredibly productive at Michigan this past season. And of course, playing alongside our opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, you're not going to get the constant attention, but production is production, right? Like, if as long as the traits and the production and the film and everything that you kind of are seeing and watching matches up, then generally speaking, I feel like you have a hit there. And I think that Ojabo certainly has a little bit of a concern, at least against the run, which we'll get into a little bit here. But I'm a big fan. I think his upside as a pass rusher is ridiculously high. And so I am planting my flag here on Ojabo Island. I think he should be a top 10 pick. Um, I've heard from guys like Daniel Jeremiah on his podcast and Trevor Sikkema and Benjamin Solak and people like that, that the evaluations on him are kind of mixed across the board. Again, rushing the passer is very subjective. Some people like the power rushers, other people like the twitchy bendy players, and there are those who like both. But everybody has a type of pass rusher, at least in terms of the first round. I feel like, and Ojabo is definitely somebody who I think should be very appealing for the Chargers if he is there at 17. I think he's the perfect fit alongside Uchenna Nwosu and Joey Bosa. But then again, maybe you're kind of reaching for a need into another position, as we talked about a little bit today on Twitter. But that being said, want to get into Ojabo's film specifically. You're going to see him lining up here against the left tackle. So in my notes that I have written for Ojabo, I put that he's an athletic freak, that he bends around corners at will. And that's kind of what we're going to see. Everything that Ojabo does, and this is something that I particularly love about watching pass rushers, is just kind of how the wheels turn each specific game and how the kind of their plan evolves. If you're a pass rusher who doesn't have a plan, like if you clearly are just kind of banging your head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working, that's kind of the issue that I have with grading pass rushers. If I see a guy who does not have a plan, I'm not into that at all, because I think that kind of paints a very poor picture in terms of that player's ability to react and counter and, like I said, like, have a plan. Like, I want you to have a plan. And I think Ojabo clearly has that. His best asset is absolutely his speed, his bend, and he uses that to his advantage. And I watched these 2 games, like I said, and he had 3 strip sacks in these 2 games and was just a flat out monster. So, first things first here against the left tackle, he's going to evade a little bit of a chip from this tight end, number 84 here. And this is simply a dip and rip from Ojabo and does it at a very high level. Again, avoids a little bit of a chip. And you can see here when a pass rusher is kind of squaring this tackle up, he's either going to do, like, there are several options that you have right here, but everything is open because of the way that this tackle is reacting to his speed. And in this instance, Ojabo happens to dip and rip right past him and finishes with the sack. Again, Aiden Hutchinson right there as well. It was crazy watching these two players at the same time. Felt like they were meeting at the quarterback quite often. So again, you see him set it up right here and then just dip and rip right past him, finish it off with a sack. So this really, everything builds off of his speed, and he has a plan. Again, he's going to do another dip and rip right here, and this time he finishes with the strip sack. So a little, it's not a super clean strip sack, right? But ball production is ball production, and I think that's absolutely something that translates over from edge rushers and corners and linebackers. If you're a guy who can simply just get the ball, I think that does translate, and Ojabo clearly has that in spades. Again, uses his speed, dip and rip. Obviously, the natural counter to a speed rush, if you can do it, is speed to power. And that's what we're going to see on this specific play here. He's going to react. He's going to try and speed rush and turn this corner. And the Penn State guy was like, he set really well. He set aggressively, perhaps overset a little bit. And Ojabo, credit to him, man. He gets him off balance with the speed. And then he's just going to push that tackle right into this quarterback, forces a little bit of an errant pass from whoever this Penn State quarterback is. But this is just a really high level counter plan of attack from David Ojabo. And anytime that you can use the opponent to get your job done, anytime that you can cause an offensive lineman to run into his own quarterback, that's an A+ move to me. That shows that you have a very high level power and element of strength to your game. And I think that's a little bit underrated of Ojabo. All I hear on Twitter is that he's a speed rusher, he's a little finesse. But as we can see right here, he really does have a nice element of power. And we're going to see this on the next play as well. So again, I mentioned the ball production. He's lining up on the opposite side this time. So he did primarily rush against left tackles. Aiden Hutchinson did most of his work against the right tackle from what I saw, at least in these two games. So that, again, kind of goes against the narrative that is out there on Twitter that, Ojabo was just the beneficiary of playing opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. But Ojabo was going against left tackles, supposedly, presumably the best offensive tackles on each team, and he was just flat out dominant. So switches sides here. And again, he's going to do a speed to power rush on this specific play, and then also does a rip, gets the ball out. Unfortunately, Michigan didn't recover this one, but he just plays with such a calmness about him. He's so smart despite the lack of reps throughout his career. And, the ability to just go from speed to power to rip and then get the ball out. Like, that's just such a high level play by David Ojabo. And again, just I think something that translates to the next level. And I love that little swagger step that he plays with at the end there. So kind of the other thing that we don't see a whole lot in the NFL, anytime that you're watching a college prospect, it can be very tempting to look at somebody who is really good at inside rushes and be like, wow, this is awesome. This guy's getting to the ball. Inside rushes are very fickle in the NFL because you have guys like Quentin Nelson, Matt Filer, Ali Marpet, who are kind of always having their head on swivels. But I think it is important to show that you can at least do that. Again, have a plan, have an ability to counter that plan and react to whatever the offensive tackle is doing. So I'm always hesitant on guys who are reliant on the inside rush, but I definitely want to see the ability to do it at least somewhat. Like, anything that you can show, any kind of tool from your bag that you can bring out is going to be helpful. And this is something that Ojabo does here. He's going to do an inside rush here and really affect the quarterback here. Kind of a bit of a Euro step if you're a basketball junkie like I also am. And it's just a really, very athletic, very sudden movement that he does. Hit the outside speed rush, plants his foot in the ground, and then does the inside rush, affects the quarterback, forces an incomplete pass. So that's kind of his pass rush arsenal right now. Didn't see a whole lot of like swim moves or cross chops or really that's kind of the extent there. But I think he has a plan. He uses the ability to counter with his rips, with his dips, with his inside rushes. And I think that his plan of attack can continually improve, right? I think I didn't see a whole lot of long arm moves either. Again, this was just the 2 games, but he has the speed, he has the power, and he has a plan. And that's something that I really like. So in terms of his concern, everybody is kind of pointing to his lack of play strength, his lack of reps, as he's not great against the run, is what I hear a lot of, and he isn't. He's not, as disruptive as Aiden Hutchinson against the run, for example, who had I think like 20 tackles for loss, or obviously Will Anderson, who who had like 37, ridiculous amount from Alabama. But Ojabo does again show the ability to do that eventually. And I think he has the effort. I think he has the mentality. And after this play, I think you'll see him kind of hold the point of attack as well. So you see glimpses of it at this point in his career. And that's really all that you're hoping for out of such a young and raw player like David Ojabo. Again, just show me the ability that you can do it now. And then in the NFL, we can develop that a little bit more. So on specific play, it's a little bit of an outside linebacker duty. He is in charge of this running back as kind of a man-to-man aspect. Michigan's running a double A gap blitz with both of their linebackers. So Ojabo is in charge of the running back right here. And he doesn't play this fantastic. Wisconsin definitely does a great job of selling this pick route. But look at this effort and closing speed by David Ojabo. If you watch just that play, kind of looks like a regular linebacker. So again, he shows traits, he shows athleticism, and I think he shows the right mentality to do so. Makes a really good play in space against the Wisconsin running back. So this is the last play here. And this popped up every once in a while, but this was definitely his best play against the run that I saw in these 2 games. And he's going to do a great job here of holding the point of attack against this offensive tackle. And then he's going to shed the block and make a play on the ball. So, again, just show me the ability that you can do it. And then I'm going to believe you can be able to develop that at the next level. So, really good job here of not giving any ground to this Wisconsin left tackle. Fantastic job of shedding the block and then making the play. So, David Ojabo is definitely somebody that I am a big fan of. In case you can't tell at this point, I think he's a great player. If he's there for the Chargers at 17 and they don't kind of address that edge rusher 3 spot behind Unwosu and Bosa, I'm definitely in favor of taking him. We'll have to see. Obviously it's early January. A lot can change for these draft prospects between now and April. But Ojabo is definitely somebody that I think is going to be kind of like that pass rushing steal. I think, I was very wrong about Odafe Owe, and Ojabo has very similar traits, but unlike Owe, Ojabo brings a ton of production to the table, and I think he simply has a better plan of attack. So, big fan of David Ojabo. I have him graded very closely to Aiden Hutchinson, but a lot of that is just traits based as opposed to production and evaluation and kind of scheme fit. I do feel like Ojabo is kind of better suited to be a 3-4 outside linebacker type as opposed to Hutchinson, who's probably scheme proof because of his production and because of his tenacity and power and speed. He was also on Bruce Feldman's freak list, Hutchinson, that is. So I do recognize that Ojabo is a bit more of a project and he's a bit more scheme reliant. But I'm just such a fan of his motor, his traits, his athleticism, his bend, his speed. I think that's going to translate to the next level, and he's going to be a very highly productive player. So that's going to do it for me on David Ojabo. Looking forward to doing a lot of these throughout the season. I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit and do some breakdowns, some draft profiles, and kind of do a little bit of both of those kind of things in order to help you guys kind of figure out who you guys like as well. So again, if you have anybody specific that you want me to do a breakdown on, do a profile on, please comment and let me know. Hopefully, ideally, I'm not trying to do these on a Hutchinson, on like a Kayvon Thibodeau or Evan Neal. Like everybody knows that those players are really good. Obviously, not necessarily asking for Joe Schmo from the Division III school, but if there is anybody specific that you like, please comment and let me know, and I'll do my best to get those done. So, as always, please make sure and like the video, comment, like I said, subscribe to the channel. We do really appreciate all of the support on this end. So thanks, guys. That's going to do it. Bolt up.